Welcome to Apex Esports League. Tonight we have the Apex Esports League V8 Supercar Championship on Project Cars 2 for the PS4. Tonight is the opening round. It's a 5-round series, and tonight we are heading over to Willow Springs International Raceway. And then the second round, so it'll continue every Thursday night, 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time. That's GMT plus 11. So round 2 we'll see at Rapuna Park GP. Round 3 will be Long Beach Street Circuit, and that its main race will be under lights. And then round 4 is Circuit of the Americas GP, and the final round is Bathurst. So we have tonight's session. It is a 2-race format. So we have a 15-minute practice, weather is light cloud. Qualifying is 15 minutes, weather light cloud. Sprint race is 15 laps, weather is also light cloud. There's no mandatory pit. We'll have a 10-minute break and head into session 2 with a 15-minute qualifier, weather is clear. And then the main race is 30 laps, weather is clear to light cloud with a mandatory pit. So it will be some quite hot track temperatures with this track. So it is a 4-kilometer track. There are 9 turns. The season for this is actually summer. So there will be a fair bit of wear and tear on these tyres. The drivers do have custom setups for the cars. They will most likely be opting for a harder compound, especially on that front left. It usually tends to take a fair bit of a thrashing going around this track. And then we'll make our way through and familiarise ourselves with our drivers. We don't have any new debut drivers with Apex Esports League, so if you have been joining us for our past broadcasts, there will be some familiar names amongst this. There has been a return from Mersey Blue. He hasn't been able to make it for a couple of series, so it's good to see Mersey Blue joining back in the grid with the rest of the guys. Oh, and there's a little bit of a oversteer going into that second turn, going up the little chicane. It is quite loose going up that through that section of track. We have Gallon 350 in car number 38. So far we have 10 drivers. We are expecting a grid of at least 15 people that have registered for the event tonight. A few will be joining later on, possibly in the qualifying for session 1. Maybe some may get in a little bit later in for session 2. Over to Bertie 1035 hasn't been able to make a few races recently, so he's been able to get back in and join us tonight. So welcome back, Bertie. And Colby 387 in car number 13. Over to Ezen Nommel, who we haven't seen for a little while as well. I think last time was the Lake Edge V8 Supercars Championship towards the end of last year. So he's back after a little bit of an absence with us, so welcome back. Over to Sami, I think he's in car number 44. Over to Simo Simsler, who's driving the green number 34. Zero's in the cash show, car number 15. And if you've been joining us for our last series, so the Formula Rookie Cup, 0143 did win the championship for that series. So he managed to win all the races throughout the series. So that is 9 consecutive wins. So it's quite a feat to be done. We've also had the same actually just happen in the iRacing series we have on Tuesday nights. We don't broadcast that one, I actually do race in that one. And then we had another driver who actually ended up taking all 5 wins from the 5 races for that 5-week series. And that was also the V8 Supercars. But that does also have the ZB Commodore as well as the Mustang. Bit of variety where these are all in the Ford FG Falcons. And Mr. D-Train Barbado, who also hasn't been able to race with us for a little while. I think it was also in the Lake Edge V8 Supercars series. Oh, we look like someone's gone off there, I'm not sure, I think that may be Bertie's car. Weaven as well. So he's in car number 77, fitting for his name being Weaven 777. He's best man in car number 6. And we're getting some first times on the board. Quickest time around so far is Sami with a 1:11.532. So it's a pretty good time there, and he's gone out quite wide, ready for that section. You can go in there quite quickly if you get a very perfect line. You do need to bring that car across to that outside a fair bit, and then try and feather it through that corner, and then feather it up the hill. So it's a little bit off camber. Looks like we've just had another late joiner. So DG0787 has managed to get in. He wasn't expecting to be able to get in until the qualifying session, so he's managed to get back in time for that. So he'll be able to get some practice in before heading over into qualifying. So hopefully we see our other driver, who's a regular scene, who was doing some phenomenal driving also in the Formula Rookie Cup that we just finished up, is Demon Effects. So hopefully we will see him join a little bit later on. Sami's brought that car in, so he's going to fine tune it. Drivers will probably be testing tyres a fair bit. I don't get track temperatures, but since the season is summer, oh, we've just had DG disconnect. So he's having some issues. He may have also picked the wrong car, which requires him to actually jump back out to change that again. If you join us for the stream and you don't yet have not clicked that follow button, be sure to do so. Ooh, there's a normal, a little bit wide coming out onto that corner. Much nicer line going up through around that hill. A lot of 113s, a couple of 112s on the board. So far, pretty tight times. So going through to the D-Train with a 114, Simo Simsel with a 116, Nosy Blue for 120, and Bertie with a 121. So for first laps out, that's a fair bit of consistency. Gallon's having some trouble as well. There's a lot of off-cambered corners. You can see that crest there, that's also off-camber. So when you are flat-footing it over there and you get that little bit of lift on the different sections of the back tyres, it will tend to want to try and spin out a little bit. DG's just mentioned in the chat that he is coming back. His wheel wasn't working, so he's just had to reset his PS4, so he will be back in. But he does have time. If you're listening, we've got plenty of time to get in. There's 8 minutes for the practice, and then we've got 15 minutes to qualify. Sami's still with the quickest time out there, 1:11.532. My race speed is coming up with a lot of invalidated lap times, so a lot of exceeding track limits going on. Weaven actually, a bit of glitching going on for Weaven's car as it's rotating around. Now he's facing a different direction. That's interesting, so he actually manually went in for a pit stop. It is a good idea for drivers to also familiarise themselves where that pit entry is, as it is a mandatory pit for the main race, meaning the pit stop will be a key point to ensuring a victory around here. As a normal's come through for the second quickest time, I saw 1:12.559, so he's almost 1 second flat off the difference from Sami's time. And we've seen some brilliant driving by Sami in the Formula Rookies. Well, someone else has dropped out as well. Not sure who we've just lost there. I think it's a 0. He's actually disconnected. A few tech issues going on. Hopefully we don't have too many. We've got plenty of time to be able to get back in. We'll jump on board and get to know the track as well, just so you can actually see those crest and the likes. I'll have a look and see who might be coming up for a full lap. So DG having some issues. Yeah, Zero's disconnected. Coming up on there. DG's rejoining back in. A little bit of kicking going on. Okay, so this is Weaven. We'll jump on board with Weaven. So this is for a lap, so into turn 1. So it's quite a fast corner as well. Followed by a very long turn 2. It is reasonably quick. You do have to be careful just where you start putting that throttle on. You sort of got to touch it through around the corner. Otherwise you'll see yourself going out quite wide, which you've seen a few cars do already. So right off into there, not wanting to lock that car up, feathered up through the hill. Very sharp corner here. And then you power out rather quick, bring that car right across, tap of the brakes and dive that car in, and you just slide it around up to this crest. You do have to be cautious. You do lose point of that exit line coming around that crest. So we now have 11 back on the grid. So 0 and DG is back in. So very fast last turns. No braking to come into the last turn. It's a lot of throttle, but that usually costs you a lap. So slightly running wide there. You can usually get a bit of tyre off. The Weavens then has come through with the second quickest time on that one, so 1:12.143. So he's only 0.6 of a second off Sami's time, so that was a very quick lap by Weaven. He's going to be someone to look out for as well. And then ran wide on that corner, which I was mentioning before, having to feather that throttle around. Oh, and then a little bit out of focus after that correction. Hopefully that doesn't take on some damage there. So there's 3.5 minutes remaining. And if you join us for the stream, you will see down below, I'm not sure if it is on mobile versions or if it's just on desktop, there is a range of sound effect controls, so you can have some fun with the stream. There are various sound effects from movies, phrases, and another car going off wide in that section as well. Probably going to see a fair bit of it happening there, and then followed by another one as well. I think that was Simo Simzel. Yes, and then followed the same path. Oh, that's a big hit for Simo. So we just saw before the exact same thing. It might be easy just to hit return to pit there. I think that's a fair bit of damage to that car. But Sami still holding that fastest time. And we saw Sami really give a good run and put a lot of pressure on Zero in the Footmill Rookie Cup series that's just concluded. And then he had some very good chances at potentially actually being able to steal a couple of victories in amongst Zero's flawless record for that series. So he's one to definitely watch out for this championship. DG's come through with his first cold lap at 1:16, so that's a pretty good time. That's about on the par to what we saw for most other cars. And I'm guessing most likely for this sprint race, drivers will probably have soft slicks for all the tyres bar that front left, because it does take a lot of beatings around this track. It starts to wear out in the very sharp turns from those first two sectors. For DG to come through with a 1:16 straight up, I think he's this is going to cost him for this lap, but it's going to give him a chance to at least get around for this lap and have another crack to get an improved time on the board. Good thing about this track, it is nice and wide, it is very fast, and there is plenty of good spots for corner passes and also some of the faster turns and straights. We should see a fair bit of action going on. And that looks like Bertie just off there. I think that's Mersey Blue. Yeah, I'm not sure if we've got... Yes, he's in number 43. So there's a few cars that have got matching team liveries as well. And then coming into the main race when they will be needing to pit, they're going to actually have to familiarise themselves just who has their matching team colours. I don't know why a bit of ghosting is going on with Simo Simsel. The game has been doing a fair bit of ghosting. However, ghosting is off. The damage is performance impacting on this. So any hits they take isn't just visual, it will significantly affect the car. Mechanical failures are off, so that they can at least get that car around and they can't overheat the engines. Because that's also, it can be a thing to have to try and be mindful of, especially with these hotter tracks in the hotter seasons. You can actually start to cook that car quite quickly. So instead it will just only start to reduce the effectiveness of the engine, and they will start to see a power reduction. So it does just mean that they can actually get the car back around into the pits. Oh, that's a big hit. So Simo Simsel had probably done a handbrakey across the line, most likely for it, and Bertie thought he'd probably line him up. Not sure if that affects their ratings. I don't think it does in practice and qualifying. So competitive licensing is on in these events. Drivers do need to be cautious about how clean they are racing, otherwise it will affect their license. Don't forget to make yourself known once you join us for the stream. Let us know who you think is going to take pole position in the first qualifying session. So D-Train making himself familiar of that pit entry. So we have practice results. We have Sami coming through still with the quickest lap. So a 1:11.255. As a normal ended up stealing back away second position with a 1:11.567, something 0.3 off Sami's pace. And we have Corby 387 with a 1:12. Fair few 1:12s going down the line, followed by a few 1:13s, 1:14s, and a 1:16 from DG, who did join late and didn't get in another good hot lap. So that was his out lap. So a pretty good time indeed. So we're only seeing 5 seconds difference between 11 cars. It's going to be a very tight and exciting race coming up. So drivers now having 15 minutes to qualify. They will need to remember to put the pit speed limiters on as well. Thanks for joining us, Kirko Dog. Putting down for as a normal to take the win. And there is a prize available to the winner of this championship. Usually we have the Apex eSports League Champion Cup, so we've been doing that one for a little while, so we've changed that over to a Apex eSports League stubby holder. So that will be up to grabs and being sent out to the winner of the championship. So 0143 will be having a champion coffee mug in the mail for him for winning the Formula Rookie Championship. Oh no, we've just had Weaven speeding in pits, so he's just copped one grid place penalty for speeding in pits. So he's going to have to dig deep now and get a very strong qualifying position to make up for that one grid place penalty, as it's going to shove him down one spot at the end of the qualifying for the race start. Simo Simsel's quite hot on the tail of Weaven there. Sami with the 1:11. Can he do the same again? Track conditions will have changed now. So game time was 9 AM for the practice session. It's now started at 10 AM. And as progressed, track temperatures will have increased. And they're probably going to be driving with some lighter fuel loads at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how Sami and Ezenomel go. They were very tight with those times. Thinking we'll probably see much the same into the qualifying as we did just see in the practice session. Not sure who that is ahead there. It's DG that was just ahead of Ezenomel then. Oh, Ezenomel's just brought that car back in the pits. He wasn't happy with how that car was going. Not sure if he's changing, so he's done a quick change. And zeros set a time on the board. So Ezenomel did get a time just in time. So for his first lap out at 1:11.8, that is pretty quick. Sami's just come through for 1:11.281. So they are a lot quicker than they were doing in the practice. We're seeing much the same. Oh, that's costing this for a lap. Bring that car back on. Oh, he's going to bring it in. He's probably not happy with that setup, so he may be making a few more adjustments. For seeing a first timed lap being in the 1:11.895. I think we should probably see a very quick 1:11. We may be able to see a 1:10 be broken, I think, with how we saw Sami and Ezenomel drive, especially if they get a nice run on behind another fast-paced car. They're going to have a lot more advantage through those straights with some slipstream. And Zero doing all right so far with a 1:12. He's come through into fourth position with a 1:12. Hopefully he can shave a little bit more time off just to compensate for that grid place penalty. I don't think we've seen we even cop one of those before. Some bad luck for him. Is one to watch out for as well. He's rather quick in these cars. D-Train is also the same with these V8 Supercars. He did win our Bathurst Challenge Series. That was 3 weeks worth of events, all just at Mount Panorama. Over a variety of different weather conditions to try and get every different sort of scenario to have for the drivers to try and contend with over the mountain. And D-Train came through with very solid results with that. Hopefully he's able to get in and still perform quite well on other tracks as well. Later joiner, Kakadu's joined us. He's managed to get in, so it's now 12 on the grid. Still waiting on Demon Effect, so hopefully we see him, if not in the first race, we may see him at least in the second. He's in the green car, number 33. Doing rather well with 1:14. He's been coming through with some very strong times lately, so he's only 3.3 seconds off the quickest time here. This lap won't count for him now at the moment. DG, he's just taken some damage. He's come through for 1:15. We saw him in the last couple of laps that he got to do was, because he did join the practice session late, he come through for 1:16, so he's already improved it by a second. Oh, he's got in a bit of road there. I think that's Corby. Corby manages to get around. It's hard to try and remember just who's in what car after getting so familiar to what they were all driving in the Formula Rookie Cup. Hey Slappy, how are you going? Thanks for joining us. I'll bring up the timings just to see what the last lap done. So the last lap for Sammy was a 1:25. I think he's probably coming out after the pits. His best laps of 11:281. If he improves it here. Not an improvement. That was even slower, so having some issues at the moment. We have Ezer with a 1:11.895. 0 in the 112s. It's only 2 drivers so far in the 111s. Ezra's just gone out quite wide. That's going to invalidate that lap and possibly the following. There is 6.5 minutes remaining, so he's got time to get around and try and, oh no, he's brought that in. It's probably actually the best idea just to quickly bring that car in with 6 minutes remaining, get out for a cold lap and hone it in for one more lap. And Weaven has moved up into 3rd position. She really needed to do so with that 1 grid place penalty. Okay, way down the list, so a 0 also with a 1:12.140, very close to Weaven's time. D-Train's sitting in 5th position. He's also in the 1:12. Corby only 0.001 difference between him and D-Train. That is very tight. Sitting in the 112s, also in the 112s is Gallon 350. He's in 112.816. Rosy Blue not too far off from Gallon's time with a 1:13. We also have Bertie in the 1:13s. Kakadu late to joining here. He'll be one to watch out for this track as well. He's pretty good at this track and he drives these V8 supercars very well. Yeah, different track for this one. Slappy. Very good, fast bends around this track. There's Kakadu, improve that time, there's still a 1:14. Simo Sims also in the 1:14s. We have DG0787 with a 1:15. There's only 4 seconds separating 12 cars over the course of 15 laps. That's not going to really see much of a time difference between front to back of the grid. So it's going to be some very close racing for this sprint race. There will be a little bit of spacing going on in the main event, but it will be a very intense, exciting. Coco Dog, so you can still use the Bits cheer that is the standard cheer from Twitch. However, I do have an actual sound panel down below under the stream that you can actually use various sound effects. So there's all cheers and boos and other sound effects and phrases from movies and the likes for you to have a little bit of fun depending on what's going on for the race. So you can play with those. And it will actually play a sound effect over the stream as well. Be sure to get involved and have some fun with that. The If you haven't done so, be sure to hit that follow button so you can be notified when we do go live. And we'd appreciate the support for Apex Esports League. Sami still sitting in with a 1:11.281. There's a normal with a 1:11.822. Yeah, you can't spam too much. There is time frames in between, and there are delays as well, so that we don't get people in hijacking the stream. Slappy. So I think Sami is probably going to come away with starting at the top. So Weaven's moved down, Azuro's pushed up in with a 1:11 as well, and there's not much time between him and Ezenormal. So Azuro's come through for 1:11.840, and Ezenormal's a 8:22. So that is very tight. So if Weaven sticks with 4th position so far, with only a couple of minutes left, we'll see him slide down to 5th. Oh, no, that wasn't Weaven's car watching. He's off playing in the dunes. That's going to... Oh no, Weaven could probably get out in time and be able to get another lap in if he's quick. If he can finish this lap before the time remaining of 1:20 goes down. Going to have time to get the car around and get another lap in. So he could potentially be shoved down the line a little bit now. Colby's moved up the ways as well, so he's currently sitting in 6th position. Nice line from Corby there, and he's going to have quite a good slipstream advantage from another faster car. So Azuro is quite quick. Slappy, I am also a Holden fan for the V8 Supercars. And in the iRacing Supercars series that we just did on Tuesday nights, I was driving the ZB Commodore. The Fords did win the championship, but we did have a Holden actually win the championship. That was Bradley Morris that actually won that one. I think with the V8 Supercars there will be definitely some more contenders to come through, and it most likely could end up just being much similar to NASCAR. They could possibly still run Holdens, they may just have a standard chassis to run off and throw on just the fiberglass on the outside. It does kind of make it a little bit more fair when they do that as well, as it's just all the same chassis and no real advantages, and it's just looks for the fans. And that's it for qualifying, so last laps now. Gallen will have time. Oh yeah, he should have 44 seconds to get around. No, he's just cost that for him there. Sami's also out there. He's trying to improve that 1:11, so he's coming up onto last corner. It's a very nice line. Will improve that time. Doesn't improve it, but he manages pole position. So Sami starting from position 1 for the opening race. And then there are the qualifying results. Sami starting from position 1 with a 1:11.281, followed by Corby in 2nd, followed by Ezenormal in 3rd, and the rest of the grid is Azuro. Weaven moves down a position, so we have D-Train move up into position 5. Weaven starts from position 6. Gallen 350 is starting from position 7. Mersey Blue in 8th, 30 in 9th, 10 is Kakadu 2, 11th is Simo Simsel, and DG0787 in 12th. So there's only 4 seconds separating the entire grid, so that's going to be very interesting and exciting racing for this sprint race. The drivers will have a couple of minutes now to get ready for the race. They will need to adjust their setups and get ready. They are most likely running lighter fuel loads for the qualifying and closing up all the cows for the radiator just to get that extra speed. Yes, that's right, Slappy. Zero really found his form in the Formula Rookies. However, I did join in with a bunch of the guys to do some V8 Supercar driving and Project Cars 2 on Saturday night, and Zero was with us, and we did a variety of different tracks, some really crazy tracks, like Brackham Bray, I think it is, in Scotland, doing jumps and things with the supercars, and Zero was in quite good form. So he's not one to cancel out in these things. He did say he's not used to the massive amount of horsepower difference from the supercar to the Formula Ford, but he is a very competent driver still, so definitely be one to watch. For some reason it says put I thought Ezanola was in second position. Then Corby is starting from second. Drivers will make sure they hit that ready button just in time before the countdown, otherwise they will be returned into pit lane. Here we are. Sync, and then we'll get the countdown ready for the opening race of the V8 Supercar Championship. And away we go, lights are green. A very good start by Zero. D-Train's also then snuck up in between. Weaven's gotten alongside of him. I think that's Simo Simsel that's gone off wide at the start. Sami manages to keep quite tight. Oh, there's a bit of rubbing going on between Zero and Corby. And I think that was Weaven that's just been pushed off wide, so he's now dropped down into 9th position. Not sure what was going on there. Ooh, Sami has gone out wide. Weaven's trying to make his way back up through the lines. We've got D-Train off wide. Oh, it's unfortunate for Sami, so he's gone off into turn 3. This is going to be a delay. Oh, we've had another car as well. That's DG0787 that's also gone off, narrowly avoiding Sami. So now we have Azura in the lead. That's Corby trying to go for an inside line. Looks like a little bit of lag going on as well. It does tend to take about a lap to a half a lap to catch up. And I think that's Ezanola. It's just ran off wide on the track. Can he re-enter safely? Yes, he gets in just in time. So there's a fair bit going on. Yeah, maybe this track feels like racing on Mars. Yes, it is a little bit. Temperatures will probably be fairly the same as well. The track temperatures here are going to be immense. The drivers are going to be doing very well to try and make a set of tyres last out for 15 laps around Willow Springs. So Corby's now managed to get ahead. Had D-Train getting alongside Kakadu, so Kakadu's moved up the ranks pretty quickly within that first lap. And Gallon also moving up, so putting some pressure onto Azuro. Seems to have a bit more pace than what Azuro's got at the moment, and Gallon is really trying to find an opportunity to get around. Corby's really starting to sneak ahead, so he's almost at 2 seconds lead now. Kakadu's just gone off wide, taking out that cone, bringing that car back on track just in time. Ooh, D-Train just clipped the front of Gallon's car, and that's just put him into a spin. So he's racing a little bit close, coming around on that last turn. He gets back out in time, just ahead of Mersey Blue. Mersey Blue's going to have a lot more speed than him, so he brings that car back around in time for turn 1. Corby's still holding that gap at the front of about 2 seconds. Zero's trying to close that gap in. Gallen's dropped down into 4th position. Kakadu's moved up into third. And Weaven, a good recovery after going off wide on the approach to turn 1. I think he may have been pushed off. I'm not sure if it was a penalty situation. It'll be an interesting one to look back on the replays. But he's done well. We did see him drop down to 9th position for lap 2, and then now onto lap 3. He is now in 4th position, so well done to Weaver for that recovery. And Kakadu too as well, qualifying towards that mid-section, now sitting in 3rd position and really closing that gap in on a Zero. And Kakadu is very experienced in driving these cars, so Zero will probably be in a bit of trouble very soon, unless he can dig deep and really keep that car consistent and keep Kakadu at bay. The Gallen's recovered nicely and is sitting in 5th position, not being damaged too much after that tap from D-Train seeing him go off. But still fairly close throughout the field. So from 1st to 12th there's only 20 seconds separating. And that was with Sami and DG going off into turn 3. And as a Nominal needing to make some big recoveries after starting in 3rd position. He's currently in 9th. That looks like Mersey Blue that's gone off as well. Sami's sitting hot tight right behind as a Nominal. So these guys starting from the front, now contesting for position 8. It is lap 4 of 15. There's 11 laps to go. Can they manage to climb a few more positions yet and recover from what they had a very good start to the race? Corby starting to get ahead quite quickly. He's going to probably sit quite comfy out ahead in that position as well. Kakadu's slip back away. He's down to position 6, so probably a mistake made and ran wide. Oh, we had a couple there, so that's Birdie that's just gone off behind Kakadu. It's going to look at putting him on a good inside line and potentially make a pass in the next few turns. Gallen starting to close that gap on Weaven 777 at the moment. Bertie starting to hone in. Looks like we just had someone drop out. No, someone has joined. So Demon Effects has joined the lobby, so we'll be seeing him in session 2. 12 cars on the grid will be nice. And then a battle going on for 4th position here. We have 10:35 quickly closing in on D-Train. He's also starting to close that gap to Kakadu, only just ahead of him by 0.2 of a second. Ooh, a mistake made by D-Train, so that's allowed Bertie to almost get alongside of him as he comes into turn 3. So they need to be cautious getting onto a different line there. It is all off camber, and a heavy foot off on a different line will put that car into a big spin, which we did see when cars were climbing around to try and get different positions off the jump from the start. Sami and Azanomal still slowly picking a couple of cars off. Azanomal's got a couple of seconds to try and get caught up onto Bertie, but I think that's going to be no issue now. That was just Bertie we saw just spinning off on the last turn. Unfortunate for Bertie. It's now seen him drop down into 9th position as Anomal now moves back up into 6th, and Sami now in 7th position after that. Oh, that's just been unfortunate going off in turn 1. Bring that back on time, but Mersey Blue's going to have enough speed to get around, and I think Bertie also following up behind. He's managed to get out in time. Halfway through the sprint race now, lap 7 of 15. Corby is leading by 4 seconds. Zero is struggling to try and close that gap, but he is managing to keep enough pace to keep Weaven just a little bit behind him. The 1.3 seconds is the difference between 2nd to 3rd position. You might compare the lap times. So last lap set by a 0 was a 1:13.799. Weaven set a 1:13.726. So it is a little bit different there. Zero's last lap a 1:13.982 and Weaven's a 1:13. So at this rate over the next couple of laps, Weaven's going to be right up onto a 0, looking to take on position 2. Kakadu's done a bit of moving about down the grid. We've seen him move around on that standings board a fair bit. So he's now back up into 4th position. D-Train is looking to make a move on him. A lot more pace coming into turn 3 by D-Train. That can also put you into a bad line for the following corners if you come in a little bit quicker than you usually do. So it just depends on whether your pace is a lot better than the other driver's pace. Coming in hot onto a corner and having to get heavy on those brakes can put you at disadvantage for that exit, and the other driver will just get back away. And we have Bertie sitting hot and tight on Mersey Blue's tail here. And they touch the brakes as they come into the last bends coming onto pit straight. It's going to be a big advantage for Bertie. I think he's going to try and go for a slingshot round for an inside move onto turn 1. He's gone out. Oh no, he was almost going to go for an inside line, but he had to quickly shave off that speed. Of those that would have seen him dart straight across into Mersey Blue's path, and that would have been race ending for the two of them. And there we have it. We now have Weaven closing right in on the 0. There's a bit of traffic coming up for some lap cars. It was DG's car that we just saw up ahead. Corby has gotten around no problems. He's almost extended that race lead to about 5 seconds. I think you're going to have Weaven going for a pass very quickly here. So they also all know some traffic is fine. So Weaven darted across the other side of the track with a probably worrying about a potential risk of DG spiralling back on track in front of them. See that Weaven has got quite a good bit of pace over a 0. They get again on the standings board. Last laps 1:14.304 for a 0. Oh, a 0's made a mistake. He's come out across. I think that's been contact. I think a 0 came back on and made contact with Weaven, so that's ended it for both of them. He put a left wheel out onto that corner exit, which then spun him out. Weaven managed to go off track, expecting him to come back on, and there was contact. So that's unfortunate for them. I don't think that would be a penalty situation. If you do follow us in our Apex eSports League group or on our Facebook page, if you have noticed or if you just watch our streams, but there has been some rules changes. So it's a little bit of frowned upon for car resets in the races. However, it hasn't been a penalty situation where that is the case now going forward for all our races. If drivers just go off track and happen to use that car reset button to quickly bring that car back onto track, they will actually be penalised 20 points. So in the event that the car rolls over and can't actually be returned to its wheels, or if it's stuck on something like a clipping error where there's been heavy contact and the car's actually stuck in a fence or tyre wall, or if it's somehow wedged in between a tight spot like on pit entry and pit exit. So inappropriate use will see them heavily penalised for taking advantage of pulling that car back on track. So we do like to try and create a realistic sim experience for our events. So having your car go off track, you do have to bring that car back on track, no different to as if you're out there driving the real world counterpart. Sami is currently sitting back in 8th position. After starting from position 1 as a normal, started from position 3, he's moved back up into position 6. And have Sami looking to try and get around Mersey Blue. I think there could be potential for a inside pass here. Now on lap 12, Corby is leading by 10.5 seconds. So that's because we did see Weaven and Azuro, who was only 5 seconds behind Corby, both get taken out on that last lap. And that was Dig Train, who was falling behind, and which had another 5 seconds behind those guys, now managing to see himself in position 2. So the error made by Azuro causing that race incident to occur has been an advantage to D-Train and Kakadu. However, Weaven and Azuro have only fallen back into 4th and 5th position. And you can see as Anomal's been given a time second penalty. Oh, that is tight. A big nudge by Weaven into Kakadu. It's going to be an interesting one to see, just in case Kakadu did actually get on the brakes a little too early, whether it was a bit of balking going on that caused it as a bump and run like that. Could potentially see a penalty if that was Weaven's fault. He probably doesn't seem to think it was. He's probably thinking Kakadu was braking much too early. Otherwise, Weaven would have given that position back. There's a normal. He's currently wearing a 2-second time penalty. Over the course of the race, I don't think it's going to be too drastic. He's got 3 seconds behind Mersey. So if Mersey Blue can close in on as a normal, well, same for Sami, because Sami's just made a nice inside pass going up over the hill. Mersey Blue mistake has allowed him a good opportunity to get ahead quite quickly, but then also making a mistake there. Now he needs to just close that gap in on as a normal, and then he could steal that position 6 away from him by the way of the time penalty. Over to our race leader with a very clean looking car. Managed to steer free of any incidents so far, so doing well, leading the race by almost 10.5 seconds. D-Train in 2nd position, and Weaven coming back up to look at reclaiming back that position too. Can he do it in the remaining 2 laps? I think he could have started to actually really close that gap on Corby. I don't think it would have been enough to potentially get a win before. But for Weaven to get back up and be able to take back that position 2 again after that incident with Azuro would be good for Weaven for sure. They're on approach for lap 15 now. Corby crossing the line now onto the last lap. Corby's been running a race of his own out there at the front. Only traffic he's seen has been a couple of back markers. And can D-Train Barbado hold off Weaven 777 for this last lap. Weaven's going to have to dig deep and try and close that gap now. Oh, Weaven's just received a slowdown penalty as well. So if he does decide to get ahead of D-Train, he's got to at least then put out an extra second. I don't think it's going to be an opportunity for Weaven to get second position here. I don't know if there was a bit of lag going on in the background. It looked like Kakadu's car's jumped. A lot of bouncing going on. I think it's, yeah, some lag going on there. So we're seeing him go all over the place. Oh, off he goes. No, big jump. Yes, that's lag going on for Kakadu, unfortunately. The drivers will need to be cautious while being around Kakadu at this stage. Tabs was for Ezanol to win the race, but it was Corby that has taken it this time around. So winning the opening race, followed by D-Train Barbado taking second position, Weaven in third position, getting on the podium for the opening race. Kakadu in fourth. Zero wrapping up in fifth position. Ezanol has enough time difference to secure his sixth position, so his time penalty not changing his position at all. Mersey Blue crossing the line in seventh. Oh, it's a quick dart for a almost photo finish for Mersey and Sami, but Sami not getting enough to get across, so it wraps up in eighth position. We have Bertie coming up in ninth. Going on to approach to the last corner now, onto pit straight. He's got time to get across. I think it's going to be enough time for all cars to get all their laps in. So Bertie in 9th position. Simo Simsel coming up into 10th. And DG0787. So I think, yes, all drivers managing to get all laps done. So that's only 55 seconds separating the field. So that was a very tight opening race. And at the top of the podium, we have Corby 387 taking gold with first place, D-Train Barbado in second, and Weaven 777 after some bad luck between zero, managing to reclaim and get back up into third position. So that's very well done for Weaven. And then Kakadu 2 in fourth position after qualifying down towards the midsection. So a brilliant drive for Kakadu, followed by a zero in fifth, Ezanol in sixth, Mersey Blue in seventh, Sami in eighth, Bertie in ninth, Simo in 10th, and DG in 11th. So we'll be taking a 10-minute break as we get ready to head off into session 2. So that will be a 15-minute qualifier followed by the main race, which is 30 laps. So it will be quite a good race to see with just how good the form is from these drivers out of the sprint race. So be sure to stay tuned, and if you haven't done so yet, hit that follow button, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes. And welcome back for session 2 of round 1 for the Apex eSports League V8 Supercars Championship. And we now do have a full grid, so a few new joiners. So we just had someone who was in the stream before, Coco Dog, so he's managed to actually decide to join us. So he'll be debuting with Apex eSports League in this race. We've had Demon Effects join through, and also another familiar face who hasn't raced with us too often is Fritz Askenia. So he'll be joining in. And have Mick also, who has joined us. So a very full lineup now. There we have Mick Cliff, who has joined us. So that's his debut for Apex eSports League, so welcome on board. And Coco Dog, who is staying with us on the stream and joining in the chat. Coco Dog in the chat room for Twitch. He's decided to jump on board and join us for a race, so welcome aboard. Look forward to having you in our races. And Demon Effects, of course, he managed to join the lobby towards the back end of that first race. But he did let us know he was going to potentially be a little bit late. And he's usually in his regular yellow colour scheme. In the green 33. Car's already getting out on track. We saw a 0 and we even had quite a good incident. Making some big contact. They both go off. That was on turn 2 on the exit. Just talking to them in the lobby. So we didn't get to see from the trackside camera on board with Weaven as he got the hit. And then, as I mentioned, it was most likely not a penalty situation. Zero said he was just a passenger in that situation, so he got the outside wheel off into the dirt and he just went along for the ride. There's not much to do but sit there as the car dove across track. Car number 43, 30, 10, 35, car number 6. And Bertie does do this all on controller, and I think Mick Cliff is also doing this on controller from, oh, I should make the screen a little bit bigger to see, that would be a little bit nicer. Mick Cliff, I think, is also doing it on the controller, as I mentioned. Bertie will be the competition as they're both doing it on that controller. So well done to them to be able to handle these cars around with a controller. They are absolute machines to try and get under wraps with a steering wheel setup as it is. A lot of matching team colours throughout, as I was mentioning in the race 1. They will need to be cautious of pitting for the mandatory pit in this race, as they will be sharing pit stalls for their teams. A few cars already moving in the pits, so they're making themselves familiar with pit entry. First time is coming through, a 0, and he's just brought that car straight in, setting a 1:12.240 for his first lap. If you join us for the stream, you're not familiar with the sound effects controls down underneath the stream, you can play a variety of sound effects. It doesn't cost you anything to do so. There's a good range of cheers and boos, various other phrases and effects to have some fun with all the different events that go on through the course of the race, so be sure to use those. Of course, hit that follow button if you haven't done so yet. Appreciate the support for Apex eSports League. And you will be notified when we go live for our races. This is a 5-round series. It'll be weekly on Thursday night, 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time. That's GMT plus 11 for if anyone sees in different time zones, join us for the stream. Be sure to say hello in the chat. I can see the chat. Let us know who you think is going to get qualifying. And then also a bit of lag going on. Gallon 350 disconnected, so I did say before in the race it looked like we'd lost someone, but I didn't know if it was just a bit of skip from Demon FX joining the session. So Gallon 350 actually did disconnect. So he hotspots from a phone to actually run his internet. So disconnect for Gallon. We'll see him not score any points for that first race. Hopefully no issues going on for him here, but looks like he's having a few tech issues again. It's very unfortunate when you do get a disconnect towards the back end of a race. Zeros for the quickest time, 1:12.240. We saw a 1:11.2 set by Sami in the first qualifying session. If you haven't done so as well, down below we do have our social media links. So of course Twitch is obvious, you are viewing that now, but there is also our YouTube channel. So it is actually just a short link there, so it's not a dodgy link. It's just so we don't have to have the phenomenal length that YouTube has until you get an insane amount of subscribers, as that is our backup for all our races once they have been broadcast on Twitch. They get all uploaded into YouTube, meaning you can actually go over to our YouTube channel and see any past broadcasts. And then we do have our Facebook page link down below as well. If you have Facebook, you can head to there and click that follow button, and then you'll be notified and see on your timeline all the results and standings from our races and any incident reports. So we do have a stewardship process for our races. We review all incidents in the replays, and then penalties are given out in accordance. Any errors made by drivers that puts themselves into a penalty situation. And we have had an introduction to our penalty system. It is quite a hefty penalty system in comparison to the points that they earn, but that is to encourage very clean driving. And then we have seen a very high calibre of great sportsmanship from our drivers in our series. That makes for some real great, clean, competitive racing, which you do see when you are watching these guys race around. If you do play Project Cars 2, you would be only all too familiar just as to the chaos that usually ensues from being in a public lobby. So that is not what we want to have for our group. So if you want to get involved in any of that, you can actually follow the link over to our group where we have all our event details. And that can be found from going to that Facebook page link. If you don't have Facebook and just want to keep up to date with results, you can do that all by at least looking at that page. It is all public, so you do not need an account with Facebook to do that. You can just go to the link and go through our list and see the results and standings. You can follow your favourite drivers. Sami's come through yet again with a 1:11. We saw some very bad luck with him in race 1, seeing him fall back quite quickly. I think it was 7th or 8th position he finished in the sprint race from memory. Hopefully some better luck for Sami. We have seen some spectacular driving from Sami throughout the last 5 weeks for the Formula Rookie Cup. And then once again in tonight's racing. But he's usually lost his opportunity for a strong finish for a race win by being involved in an incident from another driver, or just a small error, which cost him his opportunity to steal away a first position from a 0 during that series. Hopefully some better luck for Sami, and we may be able to see him stand at the top of the podium. Oh, I think that's Ezra Nommel's car, or is that Corby's? I'm not sure. There is too many cars in this list for me to try and dig up. No, I think that was Corby. Yes, so he's brought... It might have been, actually. Might have been Ezra Nommel. Fritz is in the matching car to DG. Oh, I think they actually do have the same car number. Right, we do have Fritz only joining the last few seconds to us coming back to being live. Don't be shy in the chat. Say hello. Let us know who you think is going to manage to keep pole position. We're seeing a repeat of session 1 tonight. We have Sami in the 111s, followed by Ezra Nommel in the 111s. We did have Corby steal away quite late. We don't have 16 showing on the grid. Dog's left the session. I don't know if he's having some tech issues going on. Get to see what times he's come up. I don't think we get to see the full 16 on the... Oh, we do on that screen. On my screen it's a lot shorter, so... So far, 9 seconds separating the field. Fritz Skenya yet to get time on board. Showing some damage to that car. Hopefully Coco Dog manages to be able to get back in. Be nice to have all 16 cars for the race. It says 3.5 minutes remaining. Ooh, Fritz having some issues with that car. Not sure if it's the damage that's affecting that or if that's just residual damage. They do usually keep these scrapes and dents. Once you've been in and actually had that repaired. Also want to keep up to date with all our events as well and have an Android phone. You can actually download the Apex eSports League app. Oh, here we go. Coco's back in, so he's having some disconnected errors. But as long as he manages to stay within the next minute, he'll at least be able to see the race start. They drop out in that last minute and a half. We'll usually see you not be eligible to actually start the race. It's quite unfortunate. We have Fritz Skenya and Coco needing to get out there and get a time on the board. And championship points do get allocated for qualifying position as well. That's 20 points for a pole position, and that goes through in increments by 2 points until we get to position 6, which is then 10 points, and then changes into 9 points for position 7. Then it decreases by 1 point to position 10, where they score 6 points, and then that decreases by 2 points down to 4 points, and that continues through to the 16th position, where you only receive 4 points for your qualifying position. Ensuring you score enough points to be able to get a championship win. Qualifying position is a big one. Sprint race is worth 30 points for a win. And then the main race, which we're about to head into, is worth 60 points for a win, so it's double of that. And then when we get to round 5 for our final, that is a double points yet again from the main, so a win is 120 points. Hopefully Fritz gets time on the board. Oh no, it's going to cost him. He's got time to get around if he doesn't take any damage. He needs to get that car around very quickly so we can get a time on the board. If he can move up a few positions, score some decent points. We're even sitting it out at the moment, so he's come through for 1:11.946. That's 3 cars in the 1:11s. It's only half a second between the two. There's not much between him and as a normal. Oh, Simo Simsel's just received a grid place penalty. He's just, I think, coming into the pits. Yes, so he did actually, so a pit lane violation. It's unfortunate for him there. They're making himself known to the pit entry and then it came in too quick. But taking a grid place penalty at that point is probably better than a potential disqualification by coming in too quick, by not knowing where that speed marker is to reduce the speed down to 60 k's an hour on approach into the pits. The Coco's out, that's not going to get him a time on the board. That's his first lap out from the pits, so it's not going to count for him. That'll see Coco debut from the back of the field, but he did get disconnected and have to rejoin back in. But at least he did manage to get in time just before session was to wrap up. He'll be one to keep an eye out for the debut. How has our other debut gone out there? I'm trying to look for Nick. I think have we lost Nick potentially? We may have. Corby not qualifying too strongly. In 7th position, and there we have the results for qualifying coming into the main race for round 1. We have Sami starting from the front yet again, so it's 2 pole positions. There's a normal in 2nd, Weaven in 3rd. Last time we had Corby up towards in 2nd position, so a bit of a change there. Followed by Zero, D-Train, Gallen, Kakadu, G-Man FX, Bertie. Simo Simsel gets a group place penalty, so that sees him move down to 11th. Mersey Blue now moves up into 10th position. We're followed by DG 0787 in 12th. Fritz Skenya in 13th, and then Mick Cliff was there, so in 14th position. Corby in 15th, not very strong qualifying result. And then Coco Dog not being able to get a time on the board after disconnecting and rejoining towards the back end. So fortunate for Coco, but he did get to do the race start, so that is the main thing. Adjusting the setups, you will see those cars dip down, as you can see. At each time they change a setting, that car dips down. Our drivers do like to run a custom qualifying setup and then also a race setup. You run that lighter fuel and close off all the radiator openings to lower that drag resistance and get a lot more speed to run the risk of cooking the engine. So if you do forget to change that, especially running a lighter fuel load, you will be needing to find a way into pit pretty quickly to get fuel, but then you will also cook that engine over the course of the race, so it is not something you want to do. Occasionally we do lose a couple of drivers the race. If they don't hit that ready button in time, they do actually get DQ'd and have to sit it out in the pits. That's going to be a very exciting race with 16 cars on the grid. Shouldn't be much longer now. Once all drivers have done their setups and hit that ready button, we will be good to go. We're just waiting to see that sinking notice come up. A lot of changes going on between the drivers. Corby, multiple dips going on there. He's doing some pre-race adjustments as well. Here we are on Looks like we've gotten all cars there. Ready to start the main race for round one. We're away, and Azura gets off to another good start again, followed by D-Train also ducking up in between. That's a repeat from race one. We saw Weaven then get an inside line because we saw Weaven get pushed out wide. He got nudged. The Kakadu's just gone off broad. As a normal had a bad start into turn one, so he's actually gone off wide. I don't think there was contact to it, but Sami manages to stay out in front, so that's a very good start. We have D-Train now in second position, followed by Weaven. Oh, we've just had someone drop out. I don't know if that's... Yes, I don't think someone has hit ready in time. I'm not sure who it is. Who have we lost? There's too many drivers on that board to see who's going on there. Oh no, I think that is Ezra Normal now dropping down position, so he's gone off in turn 3. He gets back on just in time. We just see Mersey, Blue and Coco just dive off out of the way. Sasami's already put out a 1.5 lead over Mr. D-Train. If he can manage to keep that pace at this rate and no mistakes, he's going to be flying ahead here, as there's going to be a fair bit of fierce competition between D-Train, Weaven and Gallen, and also with Bertie coming up behind these few as well. So while these guys are looking to try and get past each other, it is going to be all advantageous to Sami's position. It'll allow him just to focus on getting some good, clean, consistent pace and try and push that lead out. If you can get it out to about a few seconds, he's going to be pretty safe to be able to climb ahead a little bit more. So that's what we saw Corby do in race one. That's what Sami needs to do as well. There is 30 laps here. It is going to be tiring for these drivers. So as we start seeing lap 15, there's going to be a fair bit of fatigue, so there's the potential for some driver errors to go on. Not sure who it is that we've lost, but Weaven is right up tight behind D-Train. He didn't get that opportunity to get around him in race one tonight. I think he may be able to do it for race 2. I think Weaven would have finished in second position if he had not had that incident of Zero's accident taking contact to his car. Don't forget, if you join us for the stream, use those sound effects. Let us know who you think is going to win. We had Ezenormal down from some of our chatters for the win in race 1, and then some unfortunate incidents saw him fall back pretty quickly at the start. A couple of errors has seen him do that again. He's got the pace to be able to be out there at the front end to win it. And he is very confident in driving these things as well. That was very unfortunate for him. So Weaven getting a little bit offline, so he's getting a little bit impatient, sitting behind D-Train at the moment. He's really looking for an opportunity. This is where we saw Weaven give a nudge to Kakadu in race 1. So Weaven very quick going for that outside line, but that might run him wide. He does run wide there. That could potentially be a slowdown for him. Oh, we've just had Sami have to go in the pits. I don't know what's going on, if he's taken damage or if he's changing tyres. I think he's done a tyre change. What's going on for Sami? Some bad luck again for Sami. Sami would see himself at the top of the podium for a fair few races. It's a lot of bad luck that tends to see him not actually get those wins. Hoping that we get to see Sami finish at the top of the podium and then be able to steer clear of this bad luck. So he's still in there, so I don't know if he's taken some damage. What was going on? Maybe he didn't adjust his setup enough and he didn't have enough fuel. Perhaps he only had 5 laps worth of fuel. Potentially they usually only run a few laps worth for the qualifying. If that's the case, him getting into the pits now, getting that right amount of fuel will at least that serve his mandatory pit. Despite him now being in 15th position, he should be. The bad thing is he's not going to have a break now for 25 laps. That's now D-Train leading out front. Weaven starting to slip a little bit behind, and he's now going to be seeing Gallen start to close in on him pretty quickly. Corby now in 4th position, so he qualified quite badly down towards the back end, so he's moved up very quickly. Kakadu in 5th position. Quickly closing that gap on Corby as well. 30-10-35. A couple of seconds yet behind Kakadu as a normal. Following these guys back in 7th position. So we have Fritz Skenya in 8th position. Coco, our debuter tonight, after not getting a time on the board for the qualifying, as he had that dropout and just rejoined in time to get in for the race. He's now moved up from qualifying 16th into 9th position, so well done the Coco Dog. And Demon Effects sitting back in 10th position. Oh no, Coco Dog has gone off wide. Will he be able to bring that car in without any damage and safely? He's got some barriers around to try and navigate now. I think he's going to have to turn around and drive back a fair bit to actually get back on track. It says he's in the pits as well, so hopefully that's not penalised him as well. So it's a spin off into the pits. So he might as well use this opportunity to pit rather than just driving through the pits, I think. DG is in 14th position. Sorry, 15th. Sami has just gotten past. So we saw Sami have to pit in on that first lap, so not sure what's going on. Hello Zulup, amazing one. Thanks for joining us. We have Weaven 777 really starting to hone in on D-Train now. We saw the same happen between these two in race 1 tonight. Weaven was trying to close that gap on him. There was potential for him to probably get a pass around him, but he had a 1 second time penalty. So with it being the last lap, there was not much chance that he'd be able to make a pass and then put an extra 1 second over D-Train to be able to reclaim that 2nd position, which he was in before he had that incident with Zero. Actually, I don't think I can see a Zero on the board. No, we have lost a Zero, so I don't know if he's disconnected, if he's left the session, so I don't know if he hit ready in time. Not sure what's going on with a Zero, why he isn't in the race. He did start with 16. May have been a disconnect by a Zero. If he didn't hit that ready button in time before the countdown, that would have seen him actually start from the pits. We had Gallen 350 disconnect in race 1, and then he was doing rather well through the race, and it was only in those last few laps that he managed to disconnect, so very disappointing for Gallen. I think that's Coco Dog just up ahead at the moment. We have D-Train needing to get around Coco Dog. Coco Dog could just spin out the lap before into pit lane. Z-Loop, this race has got another 22 laps. 30 laps with a mandatory pit for these guys. It is a 5-round series, so they will be racing every Thursday night for the following 4 weeks. D-Train got around Coco Dog quite quickly. Upcoming schedule for the races. Round 2 starts 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. That's GMT plus 11. It's next Thursday night, and round 2 is Rapuna Park GP. The following week is Long Beach Street Circuit, and the main race is under light, so it will be a visually satisfying race, that one, with lots of action. Round 4 is Circuit of the Americas GP, and the final round is at Bathurst Mount Panorama. That will be a 1-hour endurance race. It'll be a very grueling race for these drivers. Great. Just an hour early, so it'll be 6:30 for you. Oh, I think that is Gallen's car that's just gone off. I think he's taken damage. He may have touched that fence. That car doesn't seem to be driving real straight. Yes, there's damage taken to the front of that car. That's quite a big hit for Gallen. He's going to probably want to consider getting that car into the pits pretty quickly. But as I was mentioning before, there with 30 laps, the drivers were mentioning that 15 laps isn't really a sprint race. It is pretty quick when it is only 1:10 that they're roughly doing. We usually aim for 20 minutes for the sprint race and 40 minutes for the main race. However, this track is a tiring track to try and drive. There's a lot of different strategies to do for each corner. And with the season being summer, there is going to be a lot of tyre wear going on for these cars. So their setups are going to be a crucial point to ensuring the car lasts out for this longer stint, and then just to decide what they do in the way of their pit strategy. Weaven is looking for an opportunity on D-Train. D-Train's going to be feeling some big pressure. Weaven seems to have some big pace on this sector 3. So look out for him here. He goes for a nice inside line. That is a brilliant pass. He had some huge pace and switches into that inside line, and he's going to have a great run through on this final line onto turn 9. Looking to break that stream. D-Train also came through rather quick pace. He's going to try and slingshot around. It's not enough time to be able to get a pass now. That was just Gallen in the background, I think, just coming back on track. So Gallen's now down into 12th position, so I think he's now pit. I'm not sure if he has been in, as the game does not reset the damage appearance. Once they have been in and repaired, all it will do is actually replace front rear bars, bonnets, boots and the wings. Otherwise it will still leave these scrapes and dents in the cars from what we can see. If you join us for the stream, don't forget to let us know who you think is going to win the race. And use those sound effects controls down below. It doesn't cost you any bits to do it. You can cheer and boo and do various sound effects and phrases to have some fun with the stream, to go with all the events going on in the race. Don't forget to hit that follow button as well, so you can help support Apex eSports League and also be notified when we go live. Oh, that's Coco Dog going out wide. As Anomal gets around, so he's managed to climb back up into 5th position. So he started nicely, fallen back, but he's climbed back up. And Bertie's doing quite well after not so much luck in the first race, so he's now sitting in 4th position. We'll check out our other debut races tonight. So Mick Cliff only just joining us for race 2 in tonight's round. So welcome aboard Mick Cliff. He's just joined Apex eSports League. And then Coco Dog as well. So he just joined us watching the stream for qualifying and race 1, and then ended up sending me a message asking to join in for the race, and here he is racing with these guys. So welcome aboard. So as Anomals just ran wide, coming through sector 2. He's lost a bit of pace to be able to try and catch up on Bertie at this stage, to be able to get a good speed. He might be able to catch up just enough to get onto pit straight and tuck in and close that gap a little bit more. Weaven is doing rather well at the moment. We saw Corby at this stage leading the race by about 10 seconds at this stage. So Corby's looking to make a move on Demon FX. Oh, he's gone for an inside line. This is going to be tight. There wasn't enough to get around. He had to shave off a lot more speed to be able to get that optimum line, and then Demon FX did own that track position. He was closer to the apex than Corby at that stage. So Corby had to give that position back, otherwise there would have been a penalty situation going against him. But a mistake by Demon FX going up the hill in turn 4 has now allowed him to go around. Oh, and I think that's DG off on the side there, so he's taken a hit. It's unfortunate for DG. We'll have a look back out the front as we have some more traffic coming up. I think that is Gallon's car. The Gallon was with these guys not long before. So he went in for that spin, making contact with that wall. But if he did end up getting in and getting that fixed in the pits, at least he'll be able to recover a fair few positions once the other guys have to go in and serve their mandatory pit. So we're seeing a few pits go in so far. So Corby's in for tyre change at the moment. So the tyres were quite well worn by the end of the 15 laps. Oh, we've just had another dropout, so we've now only got 15 cars. Not sure who it is that's lost now. So we lost 0. Try and remember who was on the screen. The T-Train is now in the lead, so Weaven's gone in for his mandatory pit. So a tyre change going on for him. So hopefully they can get these tyres to last out. The Z-Loop Amazings going for Kakadu. Is a good opportunity for him. Kakadu is quite good at this track, and he is an absolute weapon in the V8 Supercars. You've seen him drive in any of our previous seasons of the V8 Supercars Championships. He's done some spectacular driving. D-Train needs to try and push this car as much as he can over the course of these couple of laps. There's good opportunity that his tyres are probably not up to scratch at this stage. So if that is the case, keeping that car out for any further laps with very low, oh yeah, a little bit of a lock going in. Let's see if there's a little bit of slip for his car. Deciding to stay out. There's a car off onto the side there by the looks of things. Thought I saw a blue car sitting off the side. Not sure if that was Corby's car. I think that may have been Corby's car. So he's closing in on Mick Cliff. So Mick Cliff doing well, sitting in 7th position. Is this his debut? Ooh, a little bit slower. I think there was a tap there by Corby. Not expecting Mick to be as slow through that section. And that is a bit of a difference with a lot of these drivers. So they have driven with each other on a regular basis each week with Apex eSports League, plus they're usually involved in a lot of other leagues. So a lot of our regular leagues that a lot of these drivers are all part of, and then we've all actually usually been a part of each other's and keep in touch with the other drivers. So we all have different schedules. Oh, Demon FX has just gone off. So these drivers are familiar with each other's driving skills. So when we do start getting a new face to the track. They're just not quite sure what their levels are and what to expect, so it's quite good when you can start actually being able to profile your other drivers, just knowing how their strengths and weaknesses are. You can actually usually plan and get around them cleanly and take advantage of just how well they do. We've seen some big changes throughout our drivers over the course of Apex Esports League, from drivers that were starting towards the back of the field to being top contenders and winning championships. So it's really great to see the development. Kakadu has dropped down into 4th position. We've got Weaven back out. Not sure if he's been in for the pits. We don't see if there are pits. Weaven is about 7 seconds behind Ezanomal. I don't think Ezanomal's been in the pits yet. And D-Train also needs to pit. Kakadu quite possibly also been into the pits. I can't remember seeing if there was a pit line there. And we have, I think that is Demon Effects sitting behind D-Train. So D-Train's just got around Demon Effects' car. Ezanomal's got a time second penalty. He had that in race 1 as well. It didn't cost him a position. I think there's, yes, Ez's now going in for his pits. So into the pits now for his mandatory. I think it's about 20 to 25 seconds for a pit stop. D-Train needs to really push this car a little bit more so that he can get that further lead over Weaven. So they get into these pits, serve the mandatory, and then get back out there just in front of Weaven. Is he going to peel off now? So he's now done 18 laps, no pit. There'll be some fatigue setting in now. Kakadu is sitting about 10 seconds behind position 2, following Weaven. That time difference, I think he may have actually been in and served his pit stop. Cars starting to space out a little bit now. I'm looking at the notice of tight times. Make our way through Bertie. The car's seen around him. He's got about 8 seconds difference between him and Kakadu, and he's got another 11 seconds before Corby will be catching up on him, but Corby will hone that in rather quickly. He's very quick with these things. Gallon showing some damage, but I think he has been in and pit. That's just residual visual damage. Demon Effects about 7 seconds behind Gallon at this stage. Skenya in 8th position. And I think that's D-Train just peeling off into the pits now, yes. So there is Mick Cliff currently sitting in 9th position. He'll move up a spot as he passes D-Train. Actually, no, he might just be unlapping. Yes, they're a lap down. So Mersey Blue is sitting in 10th position. He's got Simo Simsel sitting right hot on his tail. Simo does have a time second penalty, so he will need to try and get past and put over that lead. And as a normal, now in 12th position, he has served his mandatory pit. So as these other cars ahead of him who have yet to go into the pits, that will see him go up the line a little bit wide, coming out through of turn 9 onto pit straight. Coco Dog for 213th position. And then DG currently on lap 17, so 3 laps down at the moment. Weaven is now in position 1. The D train came out back into 4th position, so now 20 seconds behind. So Kakadu is now up into 2nd position. I don't think Bertie has pit, so D-Train will at least reclaim another position, but this is a very good opportunity for Weaven 777 now to round up these last 10 laps. His fuel and tyres can last the distance. He's got ample fuel to get through. He can stay focused and keep that car nice and clean. Without scrubbing those tyres out, this will be a race win for Weaven. The 10-second difference between him and 2nd position, so Kakadu 2 is in 2nd position. He is a little bit off pace. Last lap set a 1:13.540 and Weaven setting a 1:13.059, so a little bit to try and clean up and get some faster times to try and close that gap. If you can try and save a second over the course of the second a lap over the course of the next 9 laps, there is a possibility he can be knocking on that tail of Weaven's car. So he's not out of it yet. A little bit more to go, but I think he's in a pretty decent spot to have a go at least finishing 4th if he hasn't actually been in 4 pits. So Mersey Blue now heading in for his mandatory pit. He's managed to last that car out the 21 laps, so he's done well. D-Train. Bertie hasn't actually pit. D-Train will reclaim that 3rd position. Cannot recall seeing if Bertie has peeled off into the pits. Corby, after taking a good win in race 1, currently sitting in 5th position. Good opportunity for Weaven to get ahead for some championship points. He's qualified decently in both races and then had a podium spot in the first race, and then it is the big points for this main race. So it's 120 points for a win here tonight for this race. Sorry, no, it's only 60 points for a win. It's 30 points for a win in the first race. Mick Cliff now into the pits as well. And we're just getting a back marker. Is that Kakadu that we're just seeing behind him? No, that wasn't Kakadu's car. So there's a car in between the two. Kakadu will need to try and catch up. Last lap Kakadu did improve that pace. So he is a bit quicker than Weaven at this stage, but there is only 7 laps to do that now. He's at only 0.1. Oh, we're seeing some lag going on with Kakadu. We saw that in race 1 as well. Hopefully that doesn't affect him. Our leader who's doing some great driving at this stage. So his best lap. Let out nice and wide for this turn. Had some bad luck getting nudged in turn 1 in race 1 last time around, so it's quite lucky. I think that's DG0787 ahead, so he's going to have to try and get around him. Blue flag will be shown. He moves off to the side. It's a nice clean pass to get around the slow of traffic. Such a blind corner going around the top of the hill. off pace at the moment. This is where we've seen Weaven show some significant paces in sector 3. They're flat out through these turns. It's where he's made his passes, which is very good considering he then gets a nice run on the pit straight, not having to use pit straight to actually try and make a pass. So brilliantly done lap by Weaven 777. So that's a 1:13.750. Let's see how Kakadu wraps up this lap, see if he's starting to close that gap a little bit more. But 1:13.942, so he's about 0.2 of a second slower than Weaven. So with 5 laps to go, I don't think that's going to be enough for him to catch up and get around unless a error is made by Weaven. By the looks of things, I'm pretty sure being Kakadu dropped down earlier, D-loop, he definitely did head into the pits. Oh, Bertie makes some mistakes. That's going to allow D-Train to quickly catch up now. But the rest of the cars have been quite spaced up. But we have Corby, D-Train and Bertie starting to close in on each other. So there's going to be a battle going on for third position. These guys got some big pace. So Corby, last lap of 1:12.760. So that last lap was the quickest of any of the cars in the last lap. So that's some very good pace that he's displaying right now. Corby is flying. Corby is wearing a 2-second time penalty, so he's going to have to accommodate for that in getting around these guys. He's got 2 seconds to try and make up before he's on the tail of D-Train. D-Train is really closing in, so he's about half a second quicker than Bertie at the moment. That is very tight. Let's see where he's looking for a line. Oh, Bertie's struggling with that car. Very tight line by Bertie, and Bertie's all on controller as well. The rest of the guys besides Mick are also on it. So it's DG, I think, off over to the side there, allowing those guys through. D-Train may try and look for a pass. He's going to have to try and stay real tight here. Bertie's got a little bit of advantage here. A lot of understeer going on for D-Train. He's fighting that car quite bad. Wasn't enough to try and close in too much. He's going to have to sit tight for another lap. He's just got to close in, sit on that tail, and then look for that opening. Doesn't want to risk a mistake here that's going to end badly for the two of them. Oh, he is going to look at going for an outside move, but that ran wide for him. He had a lot quicker pace than what Bertie had going through turn 2. He's got nice and close again. Right up over that curb. That was a very quick line. He can follow this through for these next 2 turns. I think we'll see him get alongside him down pit straight for sure. Just needs to not look for a different line here, but just sit on that same line that Bertie's taking. Just get towed along by Bertie's car. Going for an inside dart. It's not enough time to be able to get in on ahead. And then he has to shave a lot more speed off going for that very inside line through turn 1. That's going to put him off for turns 2. You saw him lose loses it there on turn 3. Oh, it looks like he was going to try and make a move here. Turn 3, I think that's Simo Simsel's car off to the side there. He's gone off. We're lap 28 now. Weaven is leading over Kakadu 2 by 13 seconds. I don't think Kakadu can get a win here, but I'm pretty sure he's secured for position 2. He's got another 9 seconds before Bertie catches up on him. Bertie's got a lot to contend with, seeing D-Train in his mirror at the moment. So all his focus is going to be on defending that position away from D-Train. Corby's just going to hope that these two guys spend enough time focusing on each other that he can just come through and pick the two off. He's a lot quicker than these two. His last lap of 1:13.180. D-Train's a 1:15.020 and Bertie a 1:14.341. Corby could potentially have a dig at these two in these last 2 laps. Oh, D-Train's gone off. That's a big slide. That's cost him big time. So it's also cost Corby a little bit of time. So a little bit of locking the brakes, trying to avoid that incident. So that was very sad for D-Train, but he's managed to recover that car. He'll sit in 5th position. Now Bertie's in trouble from Corby. These guys are going to fight tooth and nail for these last laps. Weaven now coming onto the final lap. Also, Kakadu is rounding up onto the final lap. Can Corby get ahead of Bertie with that extra time for that time penalty as well? Let us know in the chat if you think Corby will manage to get around Bertie this lap. Will he do it? He put some pressure on Bertie, try and force an error. It happened with D-Train. Mistake was made. After 30 laps, these guys are going to be physically and mentally fatigued. Closing in, a little bit of lag going on with Corby's car. A few skips. Oh no, that's cost him. That's his opportunity to get around. Completely gone now. Unless Bertie makes a mistake, he's not going to get a pass. And it's not worth risking trying to make a pass and taking themselves out as well, as that time second penalty is going to cost him. So it's 2 seconds. So Weaven crosses the line in 1st position. Well done to Weaven 777 on the race win. And we have Kakadu 2 rounding it up on the podium in position 2. Congratulations. And then we have Bertie and Corby coming 3rd and 4th. Unfortunate for D-Train, the mistake on the second last lap costing him that position. But I think Corby would have been definitely making his way around on this lap if that had not happened anyway. Gallon 350, bit of bad luck with some contact, comes through in 6th position in the end, but he did get disconnected last round, so, sorry, not last round, the last race, so well done. We have Demon Effects in 7th, Fritz Skinia coming up in 8th position. We've lost 3 cars, we did start with 16. And there's 30 seconds left to wrap up last laps. Comes Fritz. 20 seconds remain. Well done in 8th position. And there we have the conclusion of round 1 for the Apex Esports League V8 Supercar Championship. We have our race winner for the main race in round 1 is Weaven 777. We have Kakadu 2 on the podium in 2nd place, Bertie in 3rd, followed by Corby, D-Train, Garland 350, Demon Effects, Fritz Skenya, Mick Cliff, As a Normal, Coco Dog, DG 0787, Simo Simsel, Army, and we have lost 2. So it's unfortunate that we lost those guys then. So we conclude round 1. We will be having round 2 same time next week, so that's 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So we have Rapuna Park GP, so it should be some very tight racing there. There is not too many opportunities for passes. It's very technical and yet still very fast as well. So be sure to keep an eye out for that one. And the schedule is on the screen now. So there is a very exciting series coming up. So be sure to hit that follow button so you do get notified when we do go live. So hopefully we catch you for round 2 for Rapuna Park. But one race to look out for will be Long Beach Street Circuit, as the main race is under lights. It'll be interesting with the Circuit of the Americas track, and of course our final round being Bathurst Mount Panorama will be the icing to the cake. And so well done to our drivers. Don't forget to hit that follow button. Check out our social media links so you can be sure to get involved in our racing, or at least follow all our race results and incident reports. And you can also check out our YouTube channel and catch any of our past broadcast races as well. So thanks for joining us tonight, and hopefully we see you trackside next week.